Hi, everyone. This is Lady Alice, and we're going to be doing a chill stream today. We're going to be talking about different movie sets, and I'm going to show you how I might be able to add a scene here. I know that I should have actually gone August 28th at 3:30 p.m. Unfortunately, I was not available, so let's get to this. This is just movies and stream chill. I guess I can call it that. This is talking about different videos that I like, um, just so that I'm like comfortable with what this is. So let's get to it.
I let you get too close. I let it go too far.
And this is an actual one of my favorite YouTube channels that is now going to have a crossover, I do believe, with what's it called? The Has Been Hotel, which is in the Hellover universe. Um, in this section here, he said that I let it go too close, I let it go too far. A lot of relationships do this, where they don't have a balance. So if you say thank you or something like that, right? There, you can actually get a lot out of a relationship. Show subtle signs. Show so if you're texting, you say thank you for your understanding, right? If the understanding is where I don't know if this actually helps or not. I keep forgetting this. So what I do in any relationships, I tell them, uh, thank you so much for your kind and understanding, right? If I say, hey, look, I can't help you today, I just want your emotional support, and they say, okay, will do, you can say thank you for your understanding, right? Which a lot of relationships, I don't know if they do that or not, but often thank the person because sometimes they might not feel thanked. Um, if they do, they will let you know by subtle hints. So if you know how tones in a text work, if they have two different meanings, right? You can always ask to clarify to make it where it's clear, right? So you can say, hey, look, you know what? You used to call me this person, or something like that, right? Where you could say love, right? Don't push. Just say, hey, I'm open. I'm here for you. Um, it's okay, right? So you can do the you can understand where your clarity lies, right? You can say, hey, look, are we in this together or are we not? Just keep things open, keep things light. If it's just starting out, always make sure that you're stable and you don't depend on each other because that also can be an unhealthy balance. So let's continue.
Now I know exactly what you are. Na 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 na, a motherfucker. Na 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 na, a motherfucker. I don't think you meant to hurt.
And I think this is also important too, where someone might say stuff that either they're joking or they actually intend to hurt you, but in different ways. There's a different ways of hurting somebody. If they don't respect you by saying, hey, look, I understand where you're coming from, I understand that I can't financially support you right now, which is okay. Not everybody's supposed to financially support each other, right? We're here to understand exactly what it means to get closer to somebody, right? So if you're saying you never meant to hurt me, this is a way of stating um, this, right? So if you see subtle signs, always look for them subtle signs. Always say, hey, look, this tone's, it's different, right? This tone sounds different. This tone feels something. So if you're not in where I don't know this or I don't know that, it might be that your guy is telling you that that relationship isn't going to work, you know?
Cause I don't think it meant a thing at all. At all, at all, at all.
So here he's saying that he feels like his relationship never meant anything, and it could have actually not meant anything, and it changed the dynamic to where it did mean something later, right? So we always have to make sure that we get to uh, what it means to understand each other, right? In any relationship, whether it's friendship, whether it's romantically, you always have to set a boundary. And if that boundary is not respected and you don't push, either side does not push, that means your relationship boundary is healthy. But if you push it where you keep pushing it to where you want to hear something and they don't feel comfortable with saying it, right, or changes, that means that they're not ready. And you push them into it where they might have to feel some type of way about it. So you're not supposed to push, right? If they don't want to say it, don't say, okay, keep it light, keep it simple in the beginnings. And slowly those gray areas will leave. But you have to feel safe and secure about it first.
Na, 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 na. The motherfucker. I let it go too long. I let you go too deep. Now I know, now I know, now I know there's one thing I can't keep, but I keep on waiting.
Okay, so here is saying that he let it go too long and he let it go too far because he believed in what he was seeing, right? And even with those subtle hints, people chase with the little bit of clarity that they know. So if you feel this clarity, right, this is something that not everybody is capable of understanding or getting to a point where they have the capability of doing that, right? So if they're saying that they are waiting to something for it to break, that means that that relationship was never meant to happen.
I want you less than I do, and I do, oh I do, yes I still do want you, but maybe it's all on me for missing every sign and every glance and every turn.
Here's the subtle hint. If you're turning away, right? If you're not looking behind you, if you're not always doing check-ins, saying, hey, look, how do you feel? What can I do for you, right? Don't oversell it where it makes a person uncomfortable, because then it's not authentic. But if you truly feel it, say, hey, look, I see that you're not doing this or doing that, and you used to always do that. I'm not sure why you're not doing that, right? Why aren't you doing that? And then they can say, hey, look, I just wasn't feeling it, blah, blah, blah. And you can say, hey, look, you want to talk about it, that means that it's an open dialogue and you're not putting pressure on the person to actually talk about it. So when people shout, oh, you have to tell me this, no, they actually do not owe you that explanation. If they don't feel comfortable with that explanation, then they really truly don't need to do that, right? So here we are with that he's saying that at every turn, the guy that he feels like he's in love with is being too cold, and he's realizing that maybe those were subtle hints that they should have picked up on, and now we're in this mess, right? We're in this situation.
No, he's a motherfucker. Maybe there's something here for us to glean, for you to teach and me to try to learn. No, he's a motherfucker.
You can see where he truly is still trying to figure out if the relationship is real or not. If he's saying, hey, look, maybe I missed something. Maybe you were telling me something that I didn't see, right? Instead of just pounding in like everything's correct, everything is right, everything feels good, because the fact is you want to feel good, right? So in the background, they're insisting that he never cared, but he's still saying, hey, look, maybe that there was something that I just didn't see, Sometimes there's subtle clues that I didn't know about, right?
Darling, you're a thief, but you were mine to earn. What if I came on too strong? What if I read this so wrong? What if we just don't belong? All this, what
So you can see that, right? He's saying what ifs, a lot of what ifs. Like, hey, look, what if we actually had something and I just didn't know, or I want to learn about a relationship. I want to know like what it is to actually be in uh, a relationship with you, because I feel like I still want you and I still love you enough to try to make it work. And I don't know if you feel the same way, right? I don't understand if this is something that we can, uh, if this is something that we can keep continuing to work on or not, just let me know. But he keeps saying that I don't think he meant to hurt him. Sometimes people don't mean to hurt you. That's just who they are, and they don't read the room very well. They don't, understand what it means to actually see subtle clues, because they're just never taught to do that. So you could say, hey, look, this is how I grew up, because there's religions, there's the environment that you're surrounded by, right? So it makes it difficult to kind of get to this point where you could just say something, and to you it's harmless, but to the other person it could be very devastating.
You hurt me, 'cause I don't think it meant a thing at all.
We did it.
No, not at all. At all, at all, at all.
And here it's saying that he didn't know if it meant anything, and then he finally realized, hey, look, I don't think it worked. And they asked him the question, did it mean a thing? Because if you're saying with a question mark, and then he said no, it didn't mean anything, right? That means that it was not real. It was not true. And here's where we have to realize that sometimes it's just something that we are not supposed to get. We're not supposed to maybe understand it. Maybe it wasn't that meant to actually be something where you decide on if you need to leave for your own sanity, because a codependency can be very unhealthy. If you started on the base where you move in together without your financial situation in order, if you haven't built anything up to that particular point, that truly means something, right? It truly means that you don't have the capability of moving forward or having that step. You missed a step, you missed a couple steps, right? So what in my relationships, I have to trust you first. I have to know you for at least 2 years before I can even decide on what we're doing, right? It's a slow build. It's not a quick build.
Na 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 na, the motherfucker. Na 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 na, the motherfucker. Na 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 na, the motherfucker.
Okay, and that was in the Hell of a Boss universe. It was Hell of a Boss. And I believe that concludes this live stream. These songs are not too long. So if you would like, we can do another one. If not, you can always let me know.